Sometimes life feels like a hallway of closed doors. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've stood on every promise you know by heart, and yet nothing seems to move. Heaven feels quiet. You scroll through moments of other people's breakthroughs and wonder, God, did I miss something? Did you forget me? But what if the silence isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? What if the waiting is not wasted time, but holy time, a divine workshop where God is shaping you for what He already said would be yours? In this message, when God delays your promise, pray this for breakthrough. We'll walk through the hidden meaning behind the pause, the unseen battle that unfolds between your faith and your future, and the one kind of prayer that can turn frustration into fuel. This isn't about surviving the delay, it's about understanding it, so that when God moves, you're ready to move with Him. Take a deep breath, quiet your heart, and lean in. Every section of this story is another step toward the moment your waiting turns into wonder. Number 1. The silent season, when heaven feels quiet. There comes a moment in every believer's journey when heaven feels like a locked door, and your prayers sound like echoes in an empty room. You whisper, Lord, are you still there? And the silence answers back. It's a sacred tension, the space between your last amen and God's next move. But silence doesn't mean absence. It means something deeper is taking shape. Think of the disciples on the stormy sea. Jesus was in the boat, yet asleep. The wind howled, the waves rose, and panic screamed. He doesn't care. But his silence wasn't neglect. It was a test of trust. In your own storm, God may be silent, not because He's indifferent, but because He's teaching you to hear His heartbeat beneath the noise. Sometimes the Father stops speaking because He's already spoken. The last word He gave you is still in motion. The delay doesn't mean the promise expired. It means it's incubating. In the unseen, God is aligning hearts, opening paths, and preparing timing. Silence is the sound of strategy. So don't rush to fill the quiet with doubt. Sit in it. Let it stretch your spirit. Remember, seeds grow underground where no one sees. God's silence is where roots go deep, and faith learns to breathe without sight. Number 2. Purpose in the pause. Hidden work in the waiting. When God delays, it's not divine neglect, it's divine development. You see, the waiting room of heaven isn't a holding cell. It's a construction zone. God is not withholding your promise. He's shaping you to sustain it. Every pause carries a purpose, and what feels like stillness on earth is movement in heaven. Think of Joseph, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. For years it looked like his dream was buried, but really it was being built. The delay wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God was forming Joseph's character in the dark, so that when the palace door opened, his heart could handle the weight of leadership. The same principle applies to you. Before God fulfills a promise in your hands, He fulfills it in your heart. James 1:4 says, "Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Let it finish, because if you rush the process, you rob yourself of the strength it's trying to give you. Sometimes the very thing you beg God to remove is the tool He's using to refine you. You might be praying for open doors, but God is reinforcing your foundation. You're not just being delayed, you're being developed. Heaven's timeline is not slow, it's strategic. God builds in layers, one test, one lesson, one victory at a time, until your spirit is strong enough to carry the promise without it crushing you. So instead of asking, God, when will you move? Start asking, God, what are you building in me while I wait? Because when you surrender to His pace, your pause becomes purpose, and your waiting becomes worship. Number 3, the battle between promise and manifestation. The gap between what God said and what you see is the fiercest battleground of faith. It's where doubt whispers that you misheard, fear insists that you're forgotten, and exhaustion tempts you to give up. But make no mistake, the waiting is not just emotional tension, it's spiritual warfare. The moment God speaks a promise over your life, hell hears it too, and its strategy becomes clear: make you quit before the answer comes. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. The delay you feel isn't empty time, it's contested territory. The enemy can't stop what God has planned, but he can try to stop you from believing it. He'll send discouragement disguised as disappointment, distraction masquerading as opportunity, and weariness that makes faith feel heavy. But listen carefully. Your stillness doesn't mean you're defenseless. Heaven is not idle in your waiting. Exodus 14:14 declares, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Even when your heart feels quiet, God's angels are moving, aligning outcomes and protecting promises. You are never unguarded in the gap. This is where worship becomes warfare. Every thank you uttered through tears confuses the enemy. Every song sung in the dark builds an altar in the unseen. The waiting becomes a weapon when you choose to believe that even now, heaven is at work. So when pressure builds and the silence grows louder, don't panic. It's proof that breakthrough is near. Darkness fights hardest just before dawn. Hold your position, child of God. The promise hasn't changed. The story is simply unfolding. Number 4, praying through delay. Turning frustration into faith. Waiting can make your heart restless. You want to move, to fix, to make something happen, but heaven keeps whispering, "Be still." Yet being still doesn't mean being silent. The waiting room is not where prayer dies, it's where it deepens. When God delays your promise, the most powerful thing you can do is learn how to pray through the delay, not around it. Too often, our prayers sound like countdowns. Lord, when? How much longer? But mature faith prays differently. It says, God, while I wait, make me ready. The difference is subtle but powerful. One prays for escape, the other prays for endurance. One seeks answers, the other seeks alignment. Psalm 27:14 urges, "Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord." Waiting is not weakness, it's worship under pressure. Prayer in delay reshapes you from the inside out. First, it lightens your heart, because when you hand your worries to God, fear loses its grip. Second, it deepens your faith, because every unanswered prayer stretches belief like roots searching for water. And third, it clears your perspective. You begin to see that what felt like rejection was actually redirection. There will be moments when all you can manage are 3 trembling words. Lord, I trust you. And that's enough. Heaven moves on faith, not volume. Every whispered prayer in the dark becomes a seed of breakthrough. So instead of praying for the storm to stop, ask God to strengthen you in it. Let your tears become worship, your questions become surrender, and your delay become dialogue. Prayer doesn't just change things, it changes you. Number 5, the reward of waiting. When suddenly finally arrives, there comes a day when everything that once felt delayed begins to make sense. The waiting, the tears, the closed doors, all of it turns into a mosaic of mercy. God never wastes a delay, he weaves it. And when his timing finally arrives, it doesn't crawl in, it bursts forth like dawn after the longest night. Habakkuk 2:3 promises, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it lingers, wait for it, it will surely come." That means your promise has a date stamped in heaven. You don't need to chase it, you just need to be ready when it calls your name. Heaven's clock is never slow, it's precise. Every not yet protected something in you, built something beneath you, or positioned someone beside you. When God finally says now, the pieces fall together so effortlessly that you'll realize why every delay had to happen. The heartbreak refined your compassion. The disappointment deepened your discernment. The silence taught you to recognize his voice. What felt like lost time was actually divine preparation. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles." That's not poetic imagery. It's a promise of renewal. The longer you trust, the stronger you become. God doesn't just restore what you lost, he redeems it. What took years in struggle can shift in a moment of favor. So hold steady. The delay isn't denial, it's destiny on schedule. Your suddenly is coming, and when it arrives, it won't just bless you, it will overflow to everyone connected to you. God's promise still stands. Keep believing, because due season always shows up right on time. Now breathe. Let the rush of all your questions settle like dust after rain. The story of your waiting isn't a tragedy, it's a transformation. Every moment you thought was empty was actually sacred ground where God planted endurance, patience, and vision. Sometimes the holiest things grow in hidden soil, far beneath what eyes can see. You've walked through long nights, whispered prayers into silence, and kept walking when hope felt thin. Yet here you are, still standing, still believing, still reaching toward light you cannot yet see. That's faith in its purest form, not certainty, but surrender, not control, but trust. The same God who began this journey with you is still writing the next line, and his pen never slips. So tonight, don't wrestle with the clock. Rest in the certainty that heaven keeps perfect time. The promise is not lost, it's alive, pulsing beneath the surface, waiting for its cue. And when it comes, it will feel like sunrise after years of twilight, sudden, warm, undeniable. Until then, whisper those 3 words one more time. Lord, I trust you. Let them linger in the quiet, like a candle that refuses to go out, because even in the stillness, something is shifting, the soil is stirring, the seed is breaking open. Sleep in peace, child of God. The waiting is almost over,